Good evening, this is Mediker, and welcome to Knockoff Overview Episode 2. That rhymed! Well done, Gage, well done. Yeah, because that's my name. But enthusiasm aside, let's get straight to these knockoffs. But before we do, these, I'm just going to tell you, right now, these are pretty peculiar knockoffs. You want to know why? Because I believe, like, knockoffs follow this formula where it looks like something that LEGO's already put out, like a product. Let's, for example, bring in fucking Chima Ultra builds. There we go. Say a knockoff looks like that, and it has significantly lower quality. Now, I can't really comment on the quality of these since I don't have them on hand. And let's be honest here, would I want these in hand? And these do not look like anything that LEGO has put out. So these are unique knockoffs, which is quite rare to see within knockoffs. Whenever these have their own story. But ladies and gentlemen, or just anybody, I'm not being discriminative. I'm opening the door for anyone to watch my videos, not just ladies and gentlemen. That was a horrible joke. May I introduce to you the Ultimate Action range? Yeah, because when I think Ultimate Action, I think about really badly named pieces of plastic in very awkward poses. I mean, look at Sea Star. She's, I'm gonna assume it's a she, I'll justify why later. She's in the water just floating. Ultimate Action! Fire Drakes jumping over volcano for no apparent fucking reason. Ultimate Action! And High Energy and Revolving Sword being the grey one and High Energy being the yellow one, are just standing there! Which again, Ultimate Action! But to be honest, I wouldn't even expect these to be action, let alone Ultimate Action. Jesus. If you look above the Ultimate Action logo, well, not really logo, basically just a badly made, edgy font thing. Badly made, edgy font thing, yes. If you look above that, you can see a logo. Now, it says IIF. Don't be fooled by that. I found this interesting myself. The company that made these sets are called Blocko. If that sounds familiar, then it was a joke used in The Simpsons as a parody of LEGO. I kind of find it amusing how a parody company used in The Simpsons is an actual company that makes LEGO knockoffs. If you look at the side of the box, there's shit that I can't read except dual. And it looks like there's a gear function. Yep, we all loved gear functions, giving us more articulation ever since 2001. Or restricting articulation. But there was an easy way to fix that back in the day. Maybe not as much the Metro, but just and that's about it for the boxes, except the really badly made metal design. Like the metal border around it. Yeah, that's badly made. I have to comment on that. That's just shit. I mean, if I saw this in stores, I would just ignore this, because, to be honest, it's not visually appealing. And I'll get into why with each individual set. But the box itself really doesn't stand out to me. I mean, it's cardboard, it looks like I don't know, it just looks shit. Since I believe Fire Drakes would be a good leader, all depends on what you think of the word good, then let's go on to him. So here we have Fire Drake, and since I have no other images except the image of this set and a more high quality image, I'm gonna go over the colour scheme, comment on its relevance to the character, or what it represents, in this case fire. Gonna go over the pieces that look similar because, let's be honest here, there are some pieces that look similar. It's not all unique. It's not all unique. And I'm gonna go over the background since I find the background really interesting for most of them. So the colour scheme. I find it pretty concise with the theme of fire. I mean, you have the black and you have the grey, which represent ash and everything that's burnt. Not to sound wrong there, but you know, jet black and grey. Those shades really do look like have some sort of connotations to fire. And of course we have red in there, which is the universally known colour to represent fire. But here's the thing, it's really bland. I mean, you're adding in red, and that's the only colour that stands out to me. You know the thing that made Tahoe good? Like any Tahoe, Tahoe Mata, Tahoe Nova, not as much the Mystica. Maybe the stars, yeah, the stars, Tahoe. They had a secondary colour, and it really stood out. And that was orange, which also has connotations with fire. Red and orange did stand out at you and made you want to buy the set. It was the secondary colour, mixed with the primary colour that sold the set for me, the sets. And when it got rid of that, like the secondary color, the really colourful one, and fucking put silver in there with dark red. That really put me off of Tahu. Anyways, but yeah, I think having colours that, well, are shades, like, are really dark, really do not help the set sell well. When you have a box like this, with its silver metallic lining that looks like shit and a cardboard box, you really have to step up your game in terms of trying to sell your set, because if it looks bland and the box looks bad, those two will come together and no one will buy it, really. I only buy this for having it. Just, I wouldn't want it. I just, if I ever found this, I would buy it, but just kind of contradicted what I said at the beginning when I said who would want this, but, you know. The pieces. You can see a Metro shoulder pad on the arms, and judging by we have the gear, and judging that we have the gear functions, like, we can really see what a Volko is going for here to imitate. To a Metro, yeah. So that's why I'm going to compare it to the Toa Metro, like most of these. Except high energy and revolving sword. Since, well, they are not the Vaki. They do not look like Vaki, which were in the Metro era, if I can call it that. So you also have Rakshi legs, upper and lower Rakshi legs, and you have swords that look vaguely like the Tahu swords, and that's about it. I mean, there's probably more pieces that I'm missing out. Well, definitely the hand connector. Definitely the hand connector. But yeah, it's quite unique if you ask me. The mask, yeah, does look quite unique. But again, it also looks shit to some degree. When I first saw this mask, I kind of thought Toa Pyrox for some odd reason. Anyways, moving on to the background. We can see that there's a volcano and there's mountains in the background. You're really driving home the point of ultimate action. You're really driving home the name. You really are. Well done. Well done. Well fucking done. Ultimate action. Not letting us down. In all seriousness, this background is shit. I mean, look at the style of, like, the way the character Fire Drake is animated. Well, not really animated, like, he looks more cartoony in the background. So I can come to a conclusion that the volcano is just a few Google image pictures meshed together. And get used to that, people, because you're going to be seeing lots of Google image pictures quite a bit in knockoffs. But it doesn't look good at all. I mean, when you have a set that doesn't look really visually appealing, doesn't have like a secondary colour that stands out at you, a very bad box, and a bad background, do you think it's going to sell well? Fuck no. You know what? Let's have a look at the camera. Look at the camera here. There's a lot happening in the background. Fucking car. There's a lot happening in the background with the camera. There's a lava coming down, and it looks like this whole smelting area, which that's basically what Toa Metro was, this whole smelting area where they turn discs into masks and stuff like that. We come back to Fire Drake, and for no apparent reason, he's jumping over a volcano. If this had a story, would this have any relevance to the story? Or would it just be showing some sort of action thing, just to drive home the point of ultimate action? Which doesn't really at all. I have another picture here, it's more high quality, so more visually stunning, or whatever. It's more visually appealing, if I can say that about these sets. But yeah, this is more visually appealing. You can see the aura around Fire Drake is much more refined, rather than the one we saw earlier. And this looks much better, but that's not saying much. I mean, the reason they put auras around these sets, and like most knockoff companies do this, they put an aura around, like a really badly made basic Photoshop aura around the set they're trying to sell to make it fit in more when it doesn't. I mean, the two styles contrast, like the background image and the image of the set, they contrast and they make something that's shit, really. I mean, if you're going to have something in one style, do it throughout that style. Be consistent. Don't go on Google Images and look up volcanoes and fucking mountains and mesh an image together and just put it in there, because it looks so out of place. C-Star. Now, her colour scheme is more concise. I mean, well, not really concise. I mean, Fire Drake's one was concise, but Sea Stars really gives off the vibe of water, and it has a second colour that looks really nice. I mean, you have the light blue and you have the dark blue, and that's just the image shit. That doesn't have a hint of purple. And I'll show you an actual real image of these sets out of the box later. Spoilers. But the one thing that does break the colour scheme is the black body. Why couldn't you have put a dark blue body instead of a black body? Because that just stands out. It sticks out like a sore thumb, for lack of a better term. I mean, shit, is it that hard to mould fucking body? Yeah, it probably costs a lot of plastic, but if they want to sell the set, then you're gonna have to go the extra mile. You can't half-ass things. But overall, if this didn't have the black body, the colour scheme would stand out to me. It's standing out to me right now. But pieces, pretty much the same pieces here. There are a few new added pieces, like on the arms, like that shielding stuff, and I really don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be. And we have Galley's axes, so that's a plus. Well, not really a plus. The mask looks like a combination between Nokama and Galley Nova. More Nokama, Galley Nova, but looks much better than Fire Drake's mask, I must say. And there's one piece I've got to mention. It's the chest piece. I mean, I can imagine people like Zwardax, Biome Game Dude, or how, you know, I'm just going to call him Shadow Ghost. They would enjoy this piece because Rakshimokists love their Nova boobs. And I'm pretty sure they would welcome a piece with open arms that is actually moulded tits. You know? They would welcome that piece of open arms so they could use it on their badly made Rakshimoks. And get used to this piece because we are going to see it misused in later parts. You might be able to come up with a conclusion when I say misused. You know what? You're going to have to wait. It's a sight to be seen. Let me just tell you that. The background, the fucking citadel, whatever the fucking shit that is at the bottom, like with all the spikes and stuff like that. I'm just guessing that it's like a city that Sea Star's trying to protect. I mean, at least there's more action going on here than jumping over a fucking volcano, which that would be action, but compared to what the Toa do and stuff like that, that's really nothing, and it just is. Jumping over a volcano. But here Sea Star's trying to protect her city from nothing. There is absolutely fuck all in the background that she's trying to protect it from. And how are you supposed to protect your city with a few feet of water? I mean, look at how that is photographed. That is not deep in water at all. It looks like you're a few meters, well, like not even half a meter down in water. And you just take the picture there. I mean, couldn't you have made it look like it was deeper in water rather than making Sea Star look like she was dropped at the shallow end of a pool? Isn't there like tons of images in Google Images? But oh yeah, and her aura, it makes her look like she's been dropped in water. If you have a look at that motion blur or however or whatever the fuck it is, it looks like a little kid went in the pool, dropped her, and that's where it was photographed. I will give the people crops? Yeah, I shall give them plants. I will give them props though for making the citadel spiky thing pyramid shit at the bottom look more in style with the actual model of the set, but that's not really saying much. Everything looks out of place here. The rocks, the citadel, the background, everything looks fucking out of place. And guess what we're going to compare it to? We're going to compare it to Nokama. Now, Nokama's city looks... And that is an actual city. You can actually see lights, you can actually see buildings, you can see plant life, which show that it's at the bottom of the ocean. And there's no light glaring. It's like pretty dim lighting. Which show that it's pretty deep in water. There is no image with like fucking light glaring down which shows that it's at the shallow end of a fucking pool. Here it's actually deep. It's actually deep in water and it looks pretty good. Here it's just shit. Oh, let's have a look at the more high quality image. Holy fucking shit, it's like I walked into a rave party. Jesus Christ. Could you make the colours even more fucking brighter? I mean, look at this shit. Okay, now I'm gonna comment on this on its own merits. This improves it majorly. I mean, this background looks like it could sell more, but that's not saying much. Not much at all. I mean, you still have the things that look out of place with the actual set itself, but it doesn't look like it's at the shallow end of a pool. It looks like it's a bit deeper, a tad bit deeper, mind you. Anyways, let's move on to high energy. Now, I've got to be high here, and how fitting that we have like green aura around, which make it look like it's like in like a city made out of weed. But I've got to be high here because that's a pretty good color scheme. Ha 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 ha. I actually really like the purple and yellow. I mean, unlike Sea Star, there's enough black in the colour scheme to make it look like the black fits in there. This is a colour scheme that would stand out to me, and I think this is like used in a Frobots. This colour scheme is used in the Frobots thing. I don't do too much research on Frobots. I wasn't too much into it. I did buy a few sets, but not when they came out, just after. I'm not a huge Frobot fan, but I believe I've saw that colour scheme before used in Frobots, and it looks pretty nice. And I think the name of the set did have energy in it as well. Maybe a bit of plagiarism there, who knows. I didn't do my research on Frobots, but it's just something to note. So yeah, the colour scheme in here is actually quite good compared to the other two. Because they do have flaws, like I said. This looks really concise, but I don't know what they're going for here, what element they're going for here. Probably energy, which is not an element. I mean, you have Fire Drake, you have Sea Star, which is fire and sea, fire, water, energy, and then a revolving sword. Just, yeah. So the pieces. One thing I must say, have you fucking noticed how skinny that arm is? I mean, Jesus Christ! I mean, the upper arm wouldn't even be able to withstand a lower arm, let alone the weapon that it has in its hand. It looks like that would just snap off instantly. Jesus. You have Lewa swords there, stuff that look like Lewa swords. And that's about it. The mask vaguely looks like a Rakshi helmet. Vaguely. Oh yeah, get used to that mask. I've already seen it quite a bit. And we have gear function. Gear function. Just what we all wanted. Oh, and something that looks slightly like a Rakshi body. There we go. That's all the pieces that I can see, at least. So the background. The background is laughably bad! I mean, what the fuck is all that energy in the background? Yellow and green? Is that supposed to be, like, high energy, like I've said before? Like, is all that down there, like, just a whole weed forest being burned simultaneously while people get high? Is that where high energy comes from? Where does it come from? And, speaking of the background, well, have a look at the fucking rocks! I mean, they're going for a crackled effect here, but it looks like they took an image off Google Images, cut it to make it look like a fucking rock, and then just brushed, like, went in a paintbrush and just put black paint, well, black there, and just try to make it look crackled. What? Do we even have any professional people on hand making this? I mean, obviously not. This is not visually appealing at all, this set. It probably could get a few sales on its own merits, but with the fucking background, no! The background just looks horrid! The cracked ground. I mean, let's... The effect is shown more in the more higher quality image because of that fucking penguin in the lower left-hand corner, if you can see him. Here! Look! I mean, fucking hell. Jesus! Could you look any more unprofessional? Could you? Oh my fucking god. Now, I'm not very good at my Rakshi names, so I'm gonna put the name up on screen because I can't remember his name. I can remember the Toa names quite well, but the Rakshi names I've never took the time to remember them. And that's kind of bad for this video, since I'm using him as an example, but look at the fucking cracked ground here! It looks beautiful, it looks brilliant. It's nicely done. Everything looks in place, but let's go back to high energy, shall we? Everything looks out of place! Nothing complements the look of this set, nothing! At all! I mean, I'd rather buy a box that just had high energy with a black background. I mean, this is pathetic! A pathetic attempt to make a good background, well, average. And what's the fucking texture they used for the rocks that high energy standing on? What the fuck is that texture? Because it's not rocks. Nope, it's not rocks. It looks nothing like rock. Jesus Christ. Did you even try, Blocko? I don't think you did. Now we're on to the one which makes The one with the name that makes really no sense, Revolving Sword. Sure, it has something revolving, I believe. But there are no swords! I'd call them shurikens or some shit like that. Well, 5-pointed shurikens. You know what? Yeah. You know what I said about Fire Drake having a really bland colour scheme? Take out the red and you've got the Revolving Sword! He has nothing interesting about his colour scheme. Black and grey. Well done, Blocko, well done. Making toys look beautiful ever since. When the fuck was this made? I'm not too sure. But let's just say the colour scheme is bland. I've already talked about the grey and black colour scheme. Let's just move on to the fucking parts, shall we? Oh. Yeah. Moving on to the parts. I can already see something that's gonna help fucking Revolving Sword in battle. How the fuck are you supposed to handle your second shuriken if there's no fucking peg in it? I mean, it's a small nitpick, but look! There is absolutely no peg in the fucking right shuriken. No peg. Nothing. At all. So when he spins it, it's probably going to cause more danger to him than any enemy around him. If he can spin it at all. I mean, what sort... It kind of ties in with the Ninjago weapons. What use would this have? I think it would harm Revolving Sword more than his actual enemies that he's fighting. Are we supposed to take this guy as a serious villain? Are we? The parts are pretty much the same as High Energy, except the weapons have been replaced, and I've just commented on the weapons, so... Those look like no weapons I've seen in any Bionicle set, except maybe that ice shield from, what's his name? I forgot his name. That's great, but it's from one of the Agori. I'm gonna put his name on screen and the look on screen. Oh, the background. This takes the cake for worst background. Because what's going on here? There's like black ink in the fucking ground, like the pink ground. Were they going for another crackled effect here? If so, they failed even more than High Energy, which is a feat. They have conquered that, and they have fucking blown High Energy's bad background out of the water, and here we have another bad background. Let's go to the more high quality image because the penguin's annoying. He has fucking fire coming off of him. Yeah. And fucking black dye in the sand or whatever the fuck that is. I really don't know what fucking effect they were going for here, and one more thing, if you have a look at the weapon, you can still see no pin in there. Which a good way to market your set, good way. If anyone can show me a worse background than this, then I really don't know what to say about this. The bad background is, well, bad. I've already said that. And let's move on to the look of these actual sets to see if I was wrong about any of them, because the set looks much different out of the box than it does on the box, if you know what I mean. Okay, C-Star. Oh, there's a tap in my window. Just out of my window! C-Star looks okay, actually. It looks really fucking great. I mean, even though there's a black piece in there, the black chest plate, it really doesn't take away from the other colours like the box art did. And that's kind of bad when box art makes the set look worse than the fucking set itself. But C-Star looks pretty nice, and I would actually like to pick C-Star up if it weren't for the fact that I can't find them on eBay anywhere. Well, I haven't tried, to be fair, but, you know. High Energy, the black, does take away a bit from them. But I can excuse that. High Energy. Revolving Sword looks nice, even though it has a bland colour scheme. So it looks nice. It's probably because we don't have a fucking horrible background surrounding him now. And Fire Drake looks like utter shit, to be honest. I mean, look at that fucking head. I mean, I said near the beginning that the head kind of looked like shit, and I was right. So that was this handful of knockoffs. Only 4. But I have a lot more in store. A lot more for you all. And I'm assuming they're done by the same people, Blocko. So, yeah, stay tuned for part 2 of the Blocko special, if I can call it that. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. I haven't even thought of an idea what to call this video. So, this is Mediker And I shall see you all when I make another video. Goodbye.